Hey, what's going on? Appreciate you for coming through and hanging out. Hope everybody is having a good week so far. It's only Tuesday, but yeah, gotta stay hustling. So this is what up, Envis? So this is for it's an art show called Art Beats and Lyric. It's a traveling art show. They go around the country and stop at major cities and just put on a really dope show. Um, I think last year Rakim was in Atlanta doing the show. It was hosted by Jack Daniels and W. His name is spelled weird, but he's the curator of the art show. So yeah, it's just good stuff. So this is one. I got two pieces in there, and I think I'll try and post some stuff on Patreon for y'all, just so y'all can see it, like no one else, of what I've been working on, and so you can see like some behind the scenes stuff that I can't share with like the other folks. Y'all get to see the good stuff. And so what my theme is, or what, because everyone has like, there's photographers that are in it. There's traditional oil painters, people that build stuff out of concrete. There's all type of art that is going to be in the show, which is really dope. But and I was in it last year, and my theme is sketchbook. So I sketch all the time. Thank you. And everything starts with a sketch, whether you could draw or not. It's all kind of, you got your little sketchbook and you just kind of start sketching stuff out, getting it out, getting ideas. And so since I sketch and draw all the time, that was essentially my hook to be in the art show. And so I'm drawing on this. I think this is like maybe a 26 by 20 piece of paper. My other one is 24 by 36, so it's a little bigger. That one's done, but and it's just random sketches, stuff that you see me post on Instagram, but now it's just bigger, and it'll get framed up, and also it'll look like, which no one else is at the art show either, is it's like a little interactive, so that it'll look like a Moleskine sketchbook. It'll have a cover on it. You'll be able to open it, and then I'll probably like fray the edges like it's been torn out. So that's me. I got a couple walls. I did some work actually on the walls too. I don't think I can show y'all just yet because I'm using my phone to actually do the live now. But But the show is always dope. Everyone that is a part of it is dope. Like, if you're in a city that it's coming to, I highly recommend you going to the show because it's just. I mean, I've been to several art shows, and this one is just, you know, very urban-esque, and it's just a dope show. You get to drink for free. That's always a plus. So, and right now, doing a guy's back. So the other piece that I got, a woman, and then it's just like facial expressions and stuff. And so I figure I'll do a guy piece too. So just to even out the gender. But that's kind of what I've been up to. So I've been doing tattoos, but this thing here is whenever Art Beats and Lyrics does come, it's always taxing on my time and me just trying to juggle my schedule out correctly. I'm glad I got a calendar because if I didn't, I'd be all jacked up. But just like I do with any other thing, kind of like even sketch out where the shadows are for the piece, so I can see it, quote unquote, like at a distance. I'll go light and just so making sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And then I can kind of go in a little hard. Right now, I'm still definitely light because some of this stuff may change. But I still want like the sketchy lines and all that stuff. But I do want him to stand out, so I'm gonna probably thicken this line right here a little more. And then this other stuff that'll be like around him, like, so I got down here in this section, just kind of little tutorial things, if you will. Just a sketch of a dude with a suit, no head. I think I'll have some facial expressions over here. And then I'm gonna finish it off up top there with some hands. So that's kind of what I'm known for. Practice them hands, make sure they're straight. I think it'll be a pretty decent piece for this shit. We gotta have these done because we have media day this Friday. Quite a bit of high-profile people that should be coming there to talk to the artist, talk to W, the curator. So it's gearing up. It is gearing up. for tuning in, hanging out. So I'm liking how, there's some foreshortening happening here, so I guess I can show y'all the reference, but when I say foreshortening, like, so he obviously at an angle, and his elbow is closer to us, and so now I need to sell that this is like coming to us, and that the rest of his body is on a whole nother plane, if you will. That's kind of what I want to make sure is right before I really start going in. I think how that will be done is that this here will be dark, like really dark, like in the picture. And as it starts like falling right about here at his elbow, that'll get dark too. And probably not as dark as that, but it'll get dark. So it'll give the illusion like this will be really light or white even. And this will start getting dark to give the illusion that it's being pushed out towards us. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. I just need to make sure that like his hand is big enough, which I think that's right. I may be struggling a little bit with this hand over here. I don't like it too much. And again, that's more foreshortening happening. It's not much, but it's enough to make, like if you don't have the hand drawn just right, it's going to look a little weird. And I don't want that, so. And I'll try and stay up in this area and draw. Sorry about that. Just because that's where the camera is picking up stuff. So y'all can see what's happening. And so when I was saying I want to make this start getting darker, I will do I'll do the shading like normal. I'll start with just like a light one pass of what I want the shapes as I lightly sketch them out. Again, I'm not pressing hard at all. Really just letting the weight of the pencil put the mark on the page. And I'll just do that one pass over, and then I'll turn the pencil again. So now I'm going in the opposite direction. I'll kind of let that, again, just the weight of the pencil, nothing heavy, nothing major about it. Staying within that shape that I drew for the shadow. And if you look, you can start seeing the shape taking form. Do over here a little bit. And again, I don't care if I go outside the line. It's not that important, because at some point, either I'll blend it out to nothing, or it'll just have a line there. I don't care. And I think that's just me and my style, saying I don't care. Some other folks may care how, their stuff turns out. And they want it to be perfect. And that's the thing about the show for me. Everyone's stuff there is like really finished and polished, and I'm busting in with like sketches. But again, I feel like that's what, even just talking to some of the artists, that's what they started with. It all was like a sketch. Now this dude in the middle and the other piece, the girl in the middle, they're definitely more detailed and more formed, but I'll have sketches of stuff just around it. So but yeah, after I do those cross hatchings and lightly going over, and I'm kind of happy with what I see right now, so I can kind of go in and start pressing down just a little harder, and I can do some circles. And so now that'll blend it out. So, because if I leave it like that, you can definitely see the cross hatching, and I don't want to see that for this part. Like something up here, like I might be cool with just a line, and then you actually see the line kind of just fading out like that or something. And again, it's just my style. But for like these, I don't want to see the little cross hatching and stuff, so I'll do like some real tight circles. And still looking at my reference, making sure like so this is a muscle here, and this is a muscle. But the way it needs to, how can I show y'all? Have some shape to it. So it's like, imagine this, like that half circle or half cylinder type thing. You have the muscles kind of are like cylinders, and then this is just the dark side of that cylinder, and the light source, if I'm looking correctly, is kind of like coming down that way. And so on this muscle, it's dark side over here, and it kind of just goes light. Same with the outside of the forearm, it's dark over here, then it'll kind of go light. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. And as I get down here, it gets a little darker, so I'll press just a little harder. Like, I don't want to go too hard just yet. You can always go darker. You can't take away from that without erasing. And so, one, I don't plan on erasing, so I can't go that hard in the paint, if you will. Can hardly hear you. How's that now? I think because I had to raise my phone up a little bit. Let me see if I could bring it down some. Let me know if that's a little better. Maybe I'll put my head up when I start talking. So sorry about that, y'all. I kind of was going through a whole spiel here and no one heard anything. Damn it, man. Maybe the music was a tad bit loud too, I don't know, but sorry about that. Yes, I will project. Word, Kurt. Word, Kurt. So I don't know if you guys heard. I was explaining about um, my shading techniques. I could hear, but I have earbuds, so it makes. Oh yeah. But I was just going over my shading technique and how I cross at first, go the opposite way the next time. Excuse me, and then just kind of go in with circles to blend and smooth all those little crosshairs out. The cross hatching. I'm sorry. But then sometimes, like up here, I'll just leave it where you can see the lines. There's no rhyme or reason for what I do. Um, I think that's just my style. So there's that. Um, for the new folks coming in, this is for a piece for the art show that I'm in. One of the pieces, I got two pieces in there this year. And my theme is sketchbook. Because I sketch all the time. The curator, I'm real cool with him, good friends. And he knows I sketch a lot. And so with people having like finished artwork, and there's some dope stuff that'll be in there this year. If it's coming to a city near y'all, definitely try and get out there. But everyone has finished pieces there, and my centerpiece on each of the things that I'm doing, it'll be kind of somewhat finished, but still sketchy looking. But the thing is that for artists, you know, all their stuff that will be displayed started with a sketch. So, you know, I'm kind of like right at the beginning phase of what every artist does. You have your little sketchbook and you got an idea in your head and you kind of just start sketching it out. You know, even some people that aren't artists, like they sketch out things or, you know, plan things. And so it was just a good fit for me because I sketch a lot. Much better. I'm sorry if you already said this, but how big? So this piece here is like 20 by maybe 26, 19. I think it's 19 by 26. The other piece is 24 by 36. And I will definitely share with y'all. I think I sent it to my sister earlier, but it's so. Let's see. I'm trying to find something that I can kind of show y'all without knocking everything over here. So the way the show is set up is that it's a traveling art show. So I think they'll start in like South Carolina, come down to Atlanta, go to Miami, um, Alabama, Texas, Dallas, or Dallas, Texas, Chicago, and some other major cities in between. And it's a traveling show, so like they have to be able to break down and set up in like 2 days. The art show is literally one night, and then they're gone to another city. So they have these big walls that are either like set up like crosses or like cubes or boxes or something, and so I'm just using this Pops box as an example. So I have one of my pieces will be hanging up on this side and on this side here, and I've already put artwork like on the bottom section of both of these sides, and so now the two other pieces that I'm working on will be hung up right there. Um, it's just a dope show. Like I said, if it comes to y'all area, come get out there, get some free alcohol. Jack Daniels is the host. Good times. Last year they had Rakim was the MC, so they always have like big names coming through there. Whatever city it's in, it draws out. I mean, it's literally sold out every city it goes to. So I think they've been doing it for, I think they said since 2009, so almost 10 years. This is, I think, the ninth. Next year may be the 10th year. So it'll be cool. Hopefully I get back in there next year and be a part of like a 10-year anniversary or something. I'm sure that'll be something, a sight to see. And they always push the envelope. Now they got some VR stuff happening at the show. I think there's like a booth where people kind of bring their stuff, and you put the little thing on your face and you can walk over a bridge or whatever. They always have like barbers there. They give out free haircuts. It's just a dope show. And it's always, during a time when it's ramping up and getting ready. I was saying earlier, we got like a media day coming this Friday, so everyone starts getting excited. You get to talk about your art to like Ebony Magazine and BET. I think we'll have some people out there. So some good stuff happening. And so yeah, this will not get done tonight, but I'll probably knock out a good chunk of it, and then because the other stuff is kind of sketchy, it won't take too long. And then I think I'll go like Thursday morning to get them framed. I got the frames already, so that's done. And then drop them off and hang them up on my wall. And like I said, once I get there, I'll take hella pictures and just post them for y'all, because I still don't think we're supposed to be sharing like artwork and stuff like that. But I think since Media Day is happening, I think that's an official type of press date where you can actually show a little bit of stuff happening. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'll post some stuff on Patreon so y'all can see it. But yeah, so now I'm just doing circles to get rid of some of the cross-hatching marks. And then so I'll be able to blend, excuse me, I'll be able to blend out stuff a lot better. I'm still looking at my reference, and if I see like where something needs to be a little darker, and that's kind of what I'll do. I'll just darken it in a little bit to sell what I'm doing. So I think this is like kind of light, but there is some shadow hitting it. So I'll just kind of go back and forth, one way, come down another way, and then that usually puts out, like, gets rid of the crosshairs or crosshatching. I don't know why I keep saying crosshairs. Same with this. So this is not fully white. if you will. It's not, there's some shading happening on that part and kind of here too. So with all that said, is that kind of cool with what's happening. So now I want to, I got an imaginary line that's happening right here, and I just want to go over everything. So everything has some tint on it, or shadow, or shading, because I want to start pushing that arm back next to his waist. Like, so I was explaining earlier, this elbow is closest to us, the camera. The trick for me is to push this part closer, that part closer, but the elbow out, if that makes sense. Just gotta ask, what's the so the backstory on Word Kurt, and I remember my sister, she was explaining it too, and it was like she didn't really understand. I was like, yo, how you don't know where Word Kurt came from exactly? I mean, she knew it was from Crush Groove, but she didn't, I think it was just she didn't know the exact scene or something. But I don't know, me and her and pretty much everybody where we grew up with hip hop, old school hip hop too. And Crush Groove, the movie came out, and the Fat Boys had been trying to get in this club forever to perform, and they wanted to win this talent show. And they were on standby, and so it looked like they weren't going to be able to get on stage to perform, but New Edition was in the movie too, and they canceled. They couldn't make it. And Curtis Blow went over to the club owner and was like, hey man, I got this group over here, they good, put them on. And so Curtis Blow came back over to the Fat Boys. He was like, yo, I hooked it up, y'all about to get on. And one of the guys, well, they all said it, but I think Prince Marky D was like, word, Kurt? Because they were surprised at it, and I don't know why that stuck with me and her, but the fever. Well, you want to get in the fever, son? That's all you ever talk about is the fever. But that's where Word Kurt came from. And like, what's funny is that no one else can use it. Like, and people have tried. Like, even our mom, we was like, yo, kid, you can't use Word Kurt. That's funny, yo. Disorderlies. The Fever was that was the name of the club they had been trying to get in forever to perform their hit or whatever. But another part of the movie, I mean, me and her can probably quote that whole movie word for word, but they wanted to get in the Fever really bad. I guess that was like the place to be when you was like I guess an aspiring artist trying to come up. But that's the origin of Word Kurt. We say it all the time too, it's funny. Word Kurt? Alright, so the dude is kind of built, but he's not, if that makes sense. He's just like a muscle fitness type guy, so there's not a lot of, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a muscle fitness type body, but you know, he doesn't have a lot of muscles, but you can definitely tell he is like physically fit. So I need to sell that as well. And how I think I'm gonna do it is use the shadows that's there. I'm not going to go any further into like detail of like the muscle striations and all that stuff. I'm gonna just do the shadow, and where it's dark, I'll darken it, light, and fade it out. He's got tattoos, so I think his whole body, his upper, like from his, I guess from his butt cheeks, really, all the way up his back and on his arm, he's covered in tattoos. So I think that's what drew me to this piece to draw. So I'm gonna somehow incorporate them tattoos on him. Um, you gotta find Crush Groove and watch. Yeah, all will become clear. You'll probably end up chuckling on your own because of me and her telling you stuff. You'll be like, oh, that's what they was talking about. I don't know how old you are, but there used to be a pizza restaurant called Sabaros or something like that. And they did a video in there talking about all you can eat. That's another classic joint. All you can eat. So even with this part, like, so it's kind of like dark, like right in here, but it's still darker than his arm. So I need to, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking at the same time of how I can make that fade back in there without making it as dark as that, but making it dark to where his arm is not plastered on his side, but it's actually sticking out. So, and I'm light again. I'm holding a pencil way back here, and just letting the weight of this pencil, any pencil of whatever I was using, but the weight of the pencil is all that's making marks right now. Like, I'm not putting any pressure on it. I'm just kind of letting it glide and just building up layers, layer after layer after layer. And for like when I post stuff in the morning, I'm not really too concerned about building up because it's just a quick, you know, get up in the morning and kind of get the blood flowing. It's nothing serious. It's just sketching. But since this is obviously in an art show, I mean, I gotta make it look good. I gotta, you know, make sure the fades is really crispy clean. Because this is the first thing people will see, him. Like I said on the other piece, the first thing they'll see is her. So those will stand out. And then as they get closer, they're like, oh, he's this sketchbook. You know, he's got stuff, practicing hands and all that good stuff. So that's what's up. You still can't use it, but you know, you part of the fam. But yeah, check it out. It's a cool movie. It's a classic. I believe you'll like it. And I think what I'm gonna do, because I kind of started here like really, yeah, I think you guys can see it. I started sketching some of really light, some of the tattoo. I think I'm gonna sketch some of the tattoo here. Looks like he's got like traditional Japanese. Looks like he's got I think it's a samurai on his back, which is pretty cool. But he's got some traditional style waves and clouds and wind bars and all that stuff. Um, and you know, for this, I'm not selling a tattoo. You'll just know there's a tattoo there. Like, I don't care, honestly, what the tattoo looks like, just as long as it looks like he's got ink on his body. is what I'm focused on. I mean, I guess honestly, I'll make it look like something. It just ain't gonna be a blob of ink on him, but that's kind of what I'm just mapping out. You guys might not be able to see some of these lines, but I'm just mapping out where I see these tattoos and stuff real quick. Because there's a piece up here that's actually a wave coming up, and it's white. His skin actually is not white, but it's his skin is allowing the contrast from like really dark to his skin where you can see the tattoo really well. So what I'm gonna do is kind of draw it in just a little bit more harder, just so as I'm shading, I know not to go in that area. Yeah, that used to be the pizza joint right there, though, in the mall. Heck, I think they're still here. I want to say it's still some down out. I think we've seen one at the mall here in Atlanta. Still serving up pizza since 1912. And then that's the other thing. Like as an artist, you can kind of just do your own interpretation of stuff too. Um, whether you're doing like realistic or whatever, it's still your interpretation of what you see as an artist. And art is just what it is. It's art, you know. I mean, I know like when I was in art school, you had to, do what the assignment called you to do, but at the end of the day, it's what I want it to be, or what whoever else wants their art to be. So, I think that was one thing that I didn't care too much for some of the classes and stuff because you had to do what you know the industry, because I mean that's kind of what they're gearing you for. Um, and I actually just met one of my professors. Um, they never talked really much about entrepreneurship as you start getting ready to get out of school. And so we're working on getting me to start speaking at SCAD about social media and setting up a social media presence and how to capitalize off of it and use that as a business. Because I think it's important. You know, one is free. Like, just if you're serious about whatever you're trying to do, there's no reason you should not be on social media and using it as to promote yourself, to make a brand. You become a brand. My sister, she does till death do you tweet, and she just goes out to different schools and companies and telling people like, yo, be careful what you tweet. Shit'll come back and bite you in the ass. So But I pitched it to him like, hey, I want to tell people about using social media for businesses and how to get sponsorships, and you know a huge following is cool, but like engagement is probably more important than your following. You can have 5,000, 1,000 people if you're talking to them constantly and you know becoming an expert at what you do, and then you go to pitch it to, for me, I pitched it to Pentel, and now they send me pencils and stuff. So um, the engagement is probably more important than following. I mean, you mentioned you got so many followers and people are like, oh, you're famous. Like, nah, I just do what I do. Word. But um, you just want the engagement. I think that's, yeah. You want to have engagement. You want to be able to, like, ask questions to your followers. They're following you for something. Um, Obviously, people are following me to see me post art. So, I need to know what I'm talking about. I need to set up things so when they do ask or they have questions or whatever, um, one, I don't sound like a buffoon, and to engage with them, like tag me on some of your artwork. I hadn't done it in a while, and I need to, give some stuff away. Give, for me, I give artwork away. But the engagement is important, super important. I think the arm is coming along. I'm gonna jump over to his waist a little bit. I guess if I can get like half of him done tonight, I can rest easy tonight and take a break. Then again, I might not. I probably will take a break on him, kind of finish up some other stuff over here. It's probably going to be a late night. And I usually have like another pencil, another blue pencil, just to make it pop a little more, like to make stuff darker. But I need to be careful because I don't want it to be too dark. I don't know if that's the right one or not. Actually got, yeah, that's the right one. I got several blue pencils that I use for these pieces, just so that where it needs to be dark is like hella dark. And then again, I'll just lightly go over it, because I can, again, always go darker. I can't go from dark to light. So I try and keep that in my head all the time. And I'm just lightly, because this has no weight, I'm pushing a little weight on there just to get the lead to actually get on the paper. And it's the same. Now I'm doing this, I can see the texture of the paper a little more. And then I'll just go back over with this pencil and kind of scrub out some of that texture. Yeah, Kurt, when y'all get down here, I think hopefully the stuff will still be at the warehouse. I can like give y'all a behind the scenes tour or something. I think that would be pretty dope. Actually, this kind of goes up here. There's a little shadow happening here too. So again, I'll just start really light. No pressure at all from me. It's just a pencil. I'll come back down, kind of at a different angle. Then I'll just start doing some circles to kind of get rid of that cross hatching. And I'll probably, looking at it, it's kind of dark here. And there's no rim light, so I can kind of get as close to his triceps as I can without interfering with anything. This is just hella darker here, so I can go in harder here. And that's it. That's my thought process, with anything, not just like art show pieces. Even when I'm sketching early in the morning, I'm thinking about shapes and how they fit around other shapes. So here, for example, is like an egg, if you will, for his chest. And that's kind of what I've done here. Like, if you can see here, let me see, I'm looking at the screen. Like, there's an egg shape here, or oval shape here for his chest. And then his spine is that line of action right here. The same with the suit that I'm drawing. There's a line of action happening right here. And same here. I was saying that when y'all get here, if the stuff is still at the warehouse, we can probably do like a little behind the scenes tour so y'all can see all the artwork and stuff. I'm not sure if they'll have it packed up though after Friday. And so here I'm just kind of circling it out, just circle after circle after circle. For me, this is therapeutic in a way. One, to see something come to life, but just to even sit here and do the circles like that, it makes me slow down. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I could think about things that I'm supposed to be thinking about, or the next project or whatever. And I have my notebook here, so when I'm doing that, like, I have my notebook here, and if something comes to me, I need to write it down or I'll forget. So, and I'm a morning person anyway, so um, there's no one woke but me, and that's just my time. I get a lot done. Then you got the rest of the day to do that stuff you was thinking about, or make calls, or excuse me, follow up with clients, all that good stuff. It's like a vein happening right here. For artist people that are still out there hanging out, y'all know I've said this over, and I will say it until I'm blue in the face or die. Always use reference. I mean, I think I get asked that probably 50 times a day. Oh, is this from memory or is it from reference? Like, it's from reference, yo. And I say that because for me, my mind does not work like a photographic memory, if you will. I need reference. And usually the people that ask, is this reference, aren't like serious about art. They just want to have something to say, but always use reference. Um, I think I was talking last time, like, to use reference, that's what helps you understand proportions and where things are supposed to go. And the more you draw, the more you use reference, the better you understand where things go. So if I'm gonna break down this dude real quick on what I'm talking about here. So I'm drawing this dude, right? He's looking at it, it's not simple, but it's just him holding his waist on his back. One, I would not be able to draw this without looking at it. Like, even if I looked at it and went away and came back, like, to get the muscles to fall where they're supposed to, especially this foreshortening part, like, it just would not happen. And most artists I know use reference. Professionals use reference. So there's like this misconception that if you use reference, like, oh, you can't draw without looking at something. Well, you say whatever you want, but I need my picture that I'm drawing to look like that. So I'm gonna use this. But so I studied his picture. I'd probably been looking at this picture for 2 or 3 days, just looking at it. Like, I hadn't even put anything on paper. I hadn't done anything. I just researched some male figures, and not sure that, like I said, mainly the tattoos and the pose caught me. Um, but I'm looking at, you know, this box shape of his torso. And so now I'm looking at the way his arms connect. How these are tubes or squares here. This is a shape here. These are, they're tubes, but they have a little, some angles and planes and stuff. But like that's the basic breakdown. Actually, I'm gonna go a little further for y'all. Grab my pencil. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but so I'll just import him real quick. Done. And so yeah. So what I'm looking at is, like I said, first I started with just his shape, the oval shape of his chest and his spine, the line of action. Can y'all see that? Not too much. Hold on for a second. Let me turn that off. I think by lowering that, let me get another one. I'm waiting to see if y'all can start seeing that. See if I can get another color here and make it bigger. So what I'm seeing is like his back and his spine. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for movement. I'm looking for just big shapes. I've seen many artists say just messing with their exposure. No, not in particular. I haven't had that issue. Nerdy Girl, or I'm sorry, Farah was asking, was I having any issues with my algorithm or exposure because of the different algorithms Instagram is using? No, and I think because my following is a little higher up there than most people, I'll pop up on the search thing a lot, and so people will always find me. But I could see that happening because if you don't have a lot of following, and the way they've changed it now is like you have to like and comment on something so you can see that person's stuff come through a lot. Um, so yeah, for me, I hadn't seen that problem, but I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people. But so after I found that his chest, the circle for his chest and his spine, now I'm just looking at shapes. Like, his arm is a shape here. He's got that box shape for his back. His forearm is a shape. His bicep here is a shape, and that's a shape. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking at when I see shapes, and when I tell people shapes, that's all I'm looking at. Most of y'all got my ebook. He's got square shapes for hands and fingers. That's a little triangle shape here, and then his butt is a shape. So it's all shapes. And then after that, I'll just start fleshing it out. So Like I have this box shape for his arm up here, but now I know his arm isn't a box. Then I can shape that even more. And it still has the boxy shape, but they're just hard edges. Like nothing's rounded off yet. I'm still kind of just filling through it. And that's where you see a lot of my sketchy work, per se, because I'm fleshing stuff out. You know, once I'm happy with the way something looks, then I just kind of start fleshing it out. And then I'll just keep going further. Like he's got some shadows here, his deltoids and all that stuff, his lats, you know, and here's that shadow that I've been working on, you know, his shadows here that I've been working on with y'all. And I just start working and filling that stuff out, you know. I'm not saying that it's anybody could do it. I do think anyone can draw. You know, people are like, no, I don't care what you say. I can't. I mean, it's like Ratatouille. The dude said anybody can cook. You know what I'm saying? So I think anybody could, if that's what you want to do. Now, people are saying, no, I can't draw because they just don't want to. That's cool too. But if you want to do something, you put your mind to it, you can do it. But yeah, that's kind of what I see when I'm drawing, you know. Got that sketchbook, and that's my. At first, I was Team Surface Pro, but the iPad. I mean, and you know, Apple was more for art people anyway, who want to be artsy, whatever. But they done really well with the Apple Pencil. I mean, it's got nice little bit of weight to it, instant reflexes, if you will, to what I'm drawing on that iPad. The Surface had some delay, and it also was like there's a glass screen for the Surface, so it's pretty thick. So it's not like, you know, when I take my pencil and put it on a paper, I know I'm touching that paper, and that's what that feels like with the iPad Pro. It's like I'm actually touching the surface of paper. So that's that. I think this needs to be kind of dark here. So that's what I was saying. Now I need to sell this whole wrist happening action thing here, because I want it to be pushed back, and so it needs to be somewhat dark happening right around here. And so I'll just kind of go in, and because I know I want it to be dark, I can just kind of go in and press pretty hard. But being mindful of the edges, because I still want them to fade out into, you know, the other part of the shadowing and shading. And I don't want there to be a hard line except where I want it. So I want a hard line here, but I don't want a hard line to kind of stop right in the middle of that. I want it to blend and fade out. And the same what I'm doing here. I want it to be hard, but I want it to blend out. Here, I still want some shadow here, but there is a definite hard line happening right under his wrist. And I think this is kind of where his wrist bone is starting to form right here. And, you know, well, I've been studying some bones and stuff and just drawing them. There's two bones like that are happening, are connecting to the elbow here. So I think that's a bone that's happening here and coming out here. So, which is why there's a shape and a shadow happening here. Um, and that's coming down. And some of this I'll probably end up just leaving sketchy. Like I said, there's no reason, but I think it looks cool, and I guess other people think it looks cool, or I guess I wouldn't be in an art show. Um, and not to sound like a dick, I kind of sound like a dick when I just said that, but um, I'll probably go over some of this over and over here until that shadow starts really selling that his arm is back closer to his body. And so I have to be careful too, because I can see a definite line right there, and I don't want that. I want it to fade out, so I need to be really light and not cause that line to be noticeable to the eye. And you know, that's the thing, you know, artists, um, you know, you put in that work, and I think, you know, me and some folks were talking today, is that, you know, people don't appreciate the arts like that, you know. And I think, you know, modeling, acting, um, technology, all that music is lumped kind of in a similar bowl. Um, Writers, and you know, people think just because you can do it easy, it's like, oh, you're not worth whatever you're asking your price for. And I mean, that's so far from the truth, is ridiculous. But that's a whole nother subject we can probably, I'll save for uh, another live evening or something. But just, you know, artists of any kind really put in time. They put in, you know, heck, thinking is probably more of what needs to go into something than just actually doing it. Like I said, I looked at this picture probably for like 2 or 3 days, just studying it, you know, making sure this is what I wanted to do, but two, like I said, just looking at the shapes and, you know, picturing it in my head on paper, how I would go about doing it. And yeah, the gift, you know, is part of it. That's what makes it easy for me, but it's still a lot more than just drawing, planning, and layout. Years of schooling, all that, you know. Probably go over some of this here. I get asked a lot too, you know, like, oh man, your lines are so clean. Like, you just gotta take your time. Like, when I teach people how to draw and stuff, you know, the first thing is like, they want to rush through and sketch everything, like real little strokes. Like, yeah, and you know, you're missing stuff. Um, is what I always tell them, you know, because you're focused. One, you're holding a pencil here, and you're so focused on getting that. Like, just be loose with it. You know, hold the pencil back here and kind of just do long strokes and just figure stuff out. Versus holding that pencil way down there, because when you hold it that close, subconsciously you're already telling yourself this is exactly where I want that line, and that's probably so far from where you want that line. And then you see next thing they got the eraser and they're just hammering away at the eraser. You kind of want to take your time. There's no rush. I mean, we got all day, or if you're choosing to draw for an hour, you got a whole hour. Like, there's no need to rush anything. Just take your time. No need to rush it. You know, you figure out where that line is supposed to go, then you can go in hard with it. But at first, just keep it loose. Keep it nice and loose. Be like my man Bob Ross. Happy little circle and happy little sketch marks. And to me, all that stuff adds flavor to a piece. I always like to see people's thought process and, you know, how they came up with the finished product. That was a big thing in school. We always had to show process work, you know, whether it's character designing or whatever. You want to see like where your thought process of where it started from, like where's your notes that you took, you know, now your scribbles and shapes. And then you go on to like, oh, he might have a hat on. You still kind of just blocking stuff out. You know, you can't see a definite hat, but you know he might have a bowler's hat or trucker cap or something. But then you keep going, and then this, a lot of that comes in like if there's a story or something. But if you're just kind of doing something, just draw lightly, figure it out, show process work, and yeah, that's it. People want to rush all the time. Ain't no need to rush. Just have fun with it. And so with his upper back here, I'm gonna pull this back a little bit. He got a little shadow up here, so I'm kind of just going lightly in with it. And it kind of falls down here. There's definitely a hard part there. And again, just letting the pencil do the work right now. And then I'll kind of turn back this way to do like a little bit of cross hatching. It's kind of like really hard right there. And then I'll just fade that out. And at some point, like even the pencil weight is too much. So I have to lift up a little bit off of the pencil because I don't want that much lead hitting that paper just yet right there. So right now I'm just letting the pencil weight go, but as I get closer to here, I'm lightly lifting up off of the pencil, like picking it up off the paper, but I can still see something there. Um, like I said, this is kind of hard right here. So, and I like where the position is because I done it light. If I didn't like it, I can move it a little bit left or right without the audience knowing that, quote unquote, I made a mistake or I don't like where it's at. You know what I'm saying? So, but since I do like where it's at, I can kind of go in a little harder. Um, and just start filling it out. And then I'll kind of back off here because it's hard on this side, but then it fades out to nothing really. And it's actually really dark too, so I can go in kind of hard. And now I'll start doing my circles to blend that in. So you can't see a hard line right there. I'll just keep fading, keep circling it out. So there's kind of, as I'm looking at it, like I said, there's a little shape happening somewhere around here. I think I'll put it here. And it's a little dark here. So now I know I can press a little harder right here in this area and then fade it out again. Now that I'm pleased with that, just keep looking at my reference. It's a little darker right here because kind of the muscle, you know, has that cylinder curve happening again. So this is where the shadow starts getting dark right here as it folds on his back. And I'll just kind of fade that out. I don't want it to be a really hard line right there because it's not. So I'll pick a good spot to where I know I want it to stop, like right about here. And I'll just lightly put circles up there. And then when I come back down, I'll press down on the pencil a little harder because I know it's a little darker there. And as I'm looking, like this is dark and this is almost as dark as that. So I know I can press a little harder here. But yeah, I appreciate y'all hanging out too. Like, y'all are the only people that seen this. I think that's the cool part of the whole. I think, well, for me, the way I'm using Patreon is that, you know, you guys get to, one, talk to me, like, personally. Kind of like Nerdy Girl was saying, like, she feel like family. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what I want to create with this. Talk about business, talk about, you know, how to run whatever. And y'all get to see stuff that other people don't get to see. Because, you know, one, shit, you can be giving your dollar or however much you do, you can be buying soda or lunch or something. I mean, it only comes up to like $12 a year, but you still could be doing something else with your dollar besides, you know, supporting me. So I wanted to feel like um, not so much like home, but like a cool ass chill spot, where we could talk about whatever. You know, I had a shitty day. Shit. Let's talk about it. Um, my sister just had a baby girl. I'm a niece now or something. Let's talk about that. Um, but again, for y'all hanging out, I want to give y'all stuff too. I don't want to just be like, sitting here not saying nothing, um, not giving you insight on how I'm running my business, or I think that stuff is valuable. You know what I'm saying? Um, Especially for people who are artists and want to draw, or looking to even just better their skill, even if they don't want to make a living out of it. You know, or how can I monetize what I'm doing? Like if someone is, um, I don't know, fixing iPhones, shit, anything. How can they make that work? So I mean, for the most part, it's all the same. You know what I'm saying? Like especially the way social media is geared now. You kind of just need to be in that arena first of all. Um, but it's pretty much the same. You get your following, and you just become a expert at what you do. I know I was talking about this earlier, but you know, the days of going to like a traditional college and getting a degree and then finding work, I ain't gonna say it's gone. I mean, because obviously still colleges out there and they're taking people's money, but I mean, you could learn a lot on YouTube and I guess whatever other, Google. Um, and I went to college, so I'm not taking anything from college. I think it's a great start. If you want to get something, you obviously, hopefully, my doctor went to college, or my lawyer or something like that. But I'm more talking about like the art field in general. Like, someone can be a music producer tomorrow. If they studied, I don't know, Pete Rock and Ninth Wonder. They went out and bought a beat machine, and 2 months later, this dude is making some dope beats. So, I don't think you need to go to school to really learn something like that per se. I mean, they have schools for that, and it'd be cool to go like to understand like the workings of a beat machine, or I don't know if they take it apart or something like that, but um, you can go to workshops for Photoshop. It'd be the same for anything else, whatever type of business of, you look online and see how to take apart a cell phone face, or take apart a whole phone and put it back together to replace the case. And you just start hustling that. It's all the same. Um, I don't want to sound like I'm rambling or nothing, but uh, and it doesn't connect like that, but I think it's cool just to put a line there, so I'm gonna do it. Again, no rhyme or reason for what I'm doing at certain points of when I'm drawing. It's a feeling, if you will. think that's kind of about where I want to stop with this dude tonight. So, with that said, again, I appreciate y'all for hanging out as always. And I think I want that to come in like that. And so I think before I go, I think I was making a mistake here and coming around that way. But since I've done it so light, you guys, I'll tell you the mistake, but no one else would know the mistake. Like they would just think of some, you know, sketch lines. But I needed that shadow to be on this side of his spine. And because I've done it so light, now I can just move it over here without no one even knowing. If I wouldn't have said nothing to you guys, you would have not known that this shadow needs to be on that side. So again, for all the artists that are still out there, kind of hold your pencil here lightly. Then when you're happy and you look at your reference and make sure it's on the right side, then you can kind of start going in darker and darker. So, but I've been meaning to catch these more often. Yeah, I usually try and send out like a link the day after or a few days after. I usually just send it out email so y'all can look at it on your own time. I know people, you know, especially on like the West Coast, heck, they still working. You know what I'm saying? And I've had a lot of them like, hey, you know, can you send me the link because I don't get a chance to actually hear you live. So yeah, I usually send out a link, and I will do that as soon as it gets done uploading. I'll send you guys a link so you can take a look at it, or other links too. Well, that's what's up. Cause I think, Farrah, didn't you say you were on the West Coast? I think so, if I remember correctly. Or maybe Midwest, Indianapolis. I don't know. I know you're not on the East Coast, so. But cool. Again, appreciate y'all for hanging out. I will be back next Tuesday to hang out with y'all, and we'll do this again. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's the dude's suit, who's wearing a suit. That's some stuff there. I kind of got some circles there. I think those will be facial expressions, and then up top here I'll do like some hands or something, and that'll be a wrap for that piece. I'm gonna go over here. This is what was in last year's art show. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take those pieces out and reuse the frame. I'm going to cut, or get the frame guys to cut that and cut down there so I can put the piece I'm working on inside of that. And then right here is where the hinges will go. So I'll open the cover and you can see the artwork. Seattle. Cool. But all right, I will talk to you guys later. Again, thank you for hanging out, and I'll see you next week. Peace.